Says we're live. Wonder how accurate that is. I guess we shall see. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be, whenever you may be. Welcome to the Live Drive Jive Archive with your host, Frank Monday. Hope you are doing well. All right, get rid of that JP Farrell. Get rolling. Fuck. I can't believe the situation on the road already, man. Everybody's out. What are they doing out? It's only 6:25. Yeah. 5 minutes later than I should be. And already the road is filled with AI. Brimming with the fucking things. These folks are out of control, man. Hey, yo. Howdy out there in Happy Land. How you doing this morning? I was listening to a program on old Tartaria. What do you guys think of the Tartarian Empire? That the Americas were already well developed. Like a lot of those old buildings were already there. I'll tell you a story about, I forgot to do the intro. This is the Live Drive Jive Archive with your host, Frank Monday, coming at you live, straight out the Central Kingdom of the Celestial Dragon, Twilight Zone, Old Peking. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be, whenever you may be, and whoever you may be. We are broadcasting a telepathic wave from the top of a crystal pyramidion on an ancient megalithic structure deep within a primeval Amazonian jungle, a concrete jungle, blasting out across the airwaves like an intercontinental ballistic missile launched from some secretive ghetto deep behind enemy lines. Welcome, one and all. How you guys doing today? All right. Let me see if I can read just a little. The iBots are driving. Yeah, the AI. Karen's out there. Hey, Karen. Hey, Jeff. How are you guys? Greetings. Good afternoon. Don't know about Tartaria? Please educate us. Okay, Jeff. So there's a lot of guys out there on the internet who research what they think is the old world prior to the last reset, and that there was a civilization, a highly developed civilization that these days they call the Greco-Roman culture, but that's not actually what it was. So you've probably seen that video going viral recently of somebody making fun of a girl who said that old Rome didn't exist, and that 1,000 years has been added to our timeline. Anyway, a lot of that is just subterfuge, but there's pretty good evidence that there was a realm called Tartaria on old maps dating back to like the 15th century. Not the Tartars, but on the old maps, it just says Tartaria. And so supposedly this was an ancient Celtic empire that spanned the entire planet. And that all of the dome and column building and the pyramids and stuff, actually, I don't know if the pyramids are connected. I might be obfuscating things and blending them together. You could check out a guy called John Levi, who does really good presentations. It's Jonlevi, John Levi. There's a bunch of other guys too, like Martin Leitz of Flat Earth British, and a guy named Autodidactic, who I can't stand to watch because, I don't know, there's just something totally asinine about Autodidactic. I mean, you might like him, but I can't fucking tolerate him. There are others. You just look up Tartaria and you'll find a ton of information. Anyway, these things all kind of blend together, and there is some evidence for it. But I wanted to tell you guys about a story. I was in Tennessee. I'm from Los Angeles, but I spent some time in Tennessee because my maternal grandmother lived there. And I was out along the river near Shiloh, and I went up on a hill, and I found this old plantation house. And it had a, I thought it was a hotel. It was at least 100 years old that I could tell, but it was still in really good condition. And it had one like manor house that had a deck all the way around the outside, and then it was built like an old Chinese, what we call a suhuyar, which is an old complex. Anyway, it had an inner area that was like a large wooden deck too, but it was like a courtyard area. And so the center of the building was like open to the sky. And then it had rooms around the outside. Anyway, the craftsmanship of the wood and brick and like the fireplaces and stuff was so mind-boggling. Like it was so intricate and perfect. However, the size factor was small. Like it was made for smaller people. But anyway, I looked into this, and then I knew a guy out there. This was like my college days. And I knew a guy out there, and he was a real estate guy. And so I asked him about it, and I asked him if I could somehow purchase it. And it wasn't expensive. It was on like 200 plus acres, like 250 acres on the riverside on a hill. And it was only $80,000. I mean, that was the only structure on the property. And so I looked into it, and I wanted to purchase it. And the very next summer when I went back again, someone else had already bought it. And they set up they had stables, and they were breeding horses up there. And I think they had started to destroy the buildings and rebuild other stuff. And I was like, God damn it, I wanted that piece of property. I wanted to preserve that, what I thought to be like a very unusual find. Anyway, next to the manor house, I figured it was like an old plantation or something, but I couldn't figure it out because the size dimensions were not accurate, you know? Like if everybody was 4 foot tall, it would have made sense. But like me, even only being 5 foot, 9.5, 5'10", when I went into the buildings, they felt cramped. But the craftsmanship was like beyond exceptional. Everything was perfectly carved and fitted. And then there was a shotgun cabin of rooms off to the side of it. So there was a manor house. There were two structures, two primary structures that I investigated. And the second one was like 8 individual rooms that each had their own fireplace. And God, how do I even describe it? I was so young at the time. I was probably like 19 or 20. I had just got to university, and I was studying literature, and I went up there and explored it. I was just out one day on my own, and I saw this like country road leading up a hill along the river, and I thought, oh, I'll just go up here. I think I went up there to smoke a joint or something, and I went up there, and I was just blown away by what I found. And I thought, God, if I could do anything to get this property and secure it for future development on my own, then I'll have to read the chat later, guys. I'm on the expressway. And so that whole area ended up being developed and by like people who want to do boating and fishing and stuff, because it's a pretty popular spot on the river. And it routinely floods there. And those couple of little pieces of land were the only ones that stay above flood level. And so I knew it would be valuable property. And the selling price on it was just mind-blowing. Because we're talking, if I was 19 or 20, this was like 1993, right? So it was right after I got out of high school. and I was looking for a state school to go to, and I was exploring that area because I could establish residency and get in-state tuition, and they actually had a really good literature program there at the university that I ended up attending. And that whole area is just littered with like buildings with, we're talking Shiloh, Tennessee area. I don't know if you guys know Shiloh or not, but it was like one of the great battles of the Civil War. I did shoot video too, but it's all on like old VHS camcorder, Panasonic Handycam film back in the States. So I hope one day to get back out there and see how many of my tapes are left. I got Super 8 video dating back to like the 60s that my dad shot of like Navy intelligence stuff, like secret space program stuff and shit, UFOs. Mostly girls' asses though. My dad was he was a very randy individual. Can you guys hear me all right? Give me a yo if you can hear me. I've been talking for 20 minutes, 10, and I don't even know if anybody can hear me or not. I remind you, this is the Live Drive Jive archive where we discuss the paranormal, spiritual development, ancient philosophy, conspiracy theories, and other titillating, stimulating morning drive conversation. Oh, and in reference to architecture and spiritual domains, I was at the great mansion in the astral last night. Hey, look, Little Fish is out there too. Good morning, Little Fish. Or good evening, whichever it may be. So I've had a recurring dream for like the past 30 years since I left San Diego. I'm originally from LA, but my family, I went to high school in San Diego, and we had a really nice house up on the hill. In fact, I lived right on the same street as Scott Cunningham. If you guys know anything about Wicca and the New Age witchcraft movement, then you may recognize the name Scott Cunningham. I lived right down the street from him before he died. And I went to his house a couple of times for like witchy parties, you know, equinox parties. And I think his daughter or his daughter's cousin or something, she gave me a giant crystal, a quartz crystal that she had spelunked herself. She had a whole bag full of them, and she chose one of the better ones and gave it to me. She's like, I want you to have this. Keep this. And I still have it to this day. That's an interesting story, huh? Yeah, so you know the guys, you know the old expression, 6 degrees of separation? Like you're connected to interesting people by only 6 degrees of separation. Anyway, I thought I'd share that story with you. It's got nothing to do with anything, but I still have that crystal. I carried it back and forth from Beijing to America. Every time I've flown with that giant piece of quartz. Really beautiful piece. I'm sure she would be happy to know that that thing has never left my side, man. It's a powerful implement too. I've always wanted to like mount it on a staff and use it in magic, but I never have. I've used it in magic. I mean, I've cleansed it a dozen times and used it for spell work, but I've never, you know, those are things I'd like to do in my retirement when I get back to the countryside. But you never know if you're gonna retire. Like these videos, I think, oh, you gotta get everything perfect. You gotta memorize script. You gotta get all your P's and Q's. You gotta do editing. And I'm like, fuck it. If I did that all the time, I'd never get any archival video work done. You just gotta do it, man. Shoot on the fly, straight off the hip. Like Karen, I noticed you've been out there and shooting some good mini movies recently. And you know what I'm talking about. You just gotta get it done, man. You can't wait for all the stars to align to make perfect footage. And especially a guy like me that works 80 hours a week, you know? I don't have no time to do that. I'm lucky that I'm able to do the Live Drive Jive each day. Guys, we're coming up on my exit, so I'm gonna have to fucking, sad, I'm gonna have to use my phone to pay the bill because I'm in a rental car again. My wife's hot to find a new vehicle, and so she has rented 2 different vehicles this week. I'm in one of them, and yesterday I drove one that was really nice. And so we're gonna get a new vehicle soon. We've been looking at new vehicles for like, I don't know, God, 6 months now. We're in no hurry to do it, but so I'll have to, hey, maybe I won't have to. I'm gonna go through the toll gate and try to pay my thing, but I'm not gonna disconnect the feed, and let's see if it stays connected. So if we get disconnected, I'll go right back up again. I'll go live again. But I'm gonna try to do this. Maybe this will work. You guys stay tuned. If there's technical difficulties, you'll know